Hey, what's up? If you're watching this video, it's a useful way to, I guess, take this as a bonus video to help you in your journey to break down your animation more clearly. Sometimes what ends up happening in our animation is we get our core ideas and they're working pretty well, but they don't have that punchiness that we're looking for. And to add that in is actually where breakdowns come in. Basically, what do I mean by breakdowns? A breakdown is basically a key. It's nothing more than a key. It's just breakdowns are in animation vernacular what is used as basically we delineate sort of there's keys that are the extremes, and then how we place keys between extremes, those we call breakdowns. Basically, it's saying we need to clarify the movement a little bit more between two extremes. So if you ever hear any animator, any instructor that you have further in the program, um, if they say this needs to be broken down a bit more, they're not just saying you need to have a breakdown mentally. They're saying you need to add more texture to your animation between the keys that are in this section. So I'm going to show you a piece of animation right here. There's some very nice stuff, but it doesn't quite have, it's missing just that little extra punch, and I'll show you how we can add that in here in a moment. So let me just turn this off real quick. We'll do a quick play blast so you can see what we have, and then how we can kind of make this a little bit better. So you have a character that kind of, they're like, no, don't, like that. So really what I want to concentrate on is this piece right here. How can we get this to have more pizzazz, right? Because the character does an expression change from here to like there, their face kind of drops, and then they go into this, right? We need to add some stuff to get this to have more emphasis. So I'm going to keep this, and actually we'll go back to it later. So first thing to concentrate on is the face. Believe it or not, what I would suggest here is bring this in and say, okay, well, we need to have some stuff on the eyes and the brows and things, because as this kind of starts to move in, we need this to have much, much more punch. Now, the body begins moving at about 17. We have this key at 18 on the face. So if I take like all of this and I look at this, you actually probably want to start this moving with the same moment, maybe even a frame before, but we'll see. We can try doing it right on the movement, okay? And then what I would suggest is take this key at 20, move it in, because about 2 frames, if we go about 2 frames in, what you'll probably want to do is go with like a blink, something like that. Now, why blink? As it happens, this is kind of getting into a little bit of acting actually, but it's a good thing. When you make a broad action as a human being, really actually even most animals do this, we aren't actually aware of this, but if you turn very quickly, you actually will close your eyes when you make a very quick or broad action. So in most cases, this is to protect your eyes. In other cases, it's to not make yourself feel dizzy. If you're going to change directions and look at something, when you move your head very quickly and your eyes are open, if you hold your eyes open and you turn your head very quickly, there's a big blur that happens. You're watching the entire environment basically swoosh by, and it all blurs. So there's really no reason to keep your eyes open, to just see the big blur. So naturally, we sort of tend to close our eyes for a moment and then get into another visual position. So in an action like this, if our character's, still making a very broad action, they're kind of going out like that, you actually will want to have a sort of compressed face. Now, this is almost its own take. So if you wanted to, you could really, scrunch all of this stuff up and like just compress everything. Think of this as like squash and stretch, basically. We're squashing the face, scrunching almost everything we can inward. Might even zero these out on the lips there. So you do that. We'll grab all of this. Of course, I don't want the hand control there. Key that. So now you go from here to, and then up into that. Now, this position, the face there, you'll probably want this to get into this face pose sooner, because now if we have this pose, we're scrunching into that, but then we want this to be explosive into this face pose. So what you want to do there is find that position at 24, key it just to make sure you have all of the controls, and move this in. And now you'll have that. And the cool thing is, you can actually keep what you have over here, or even just like maybe keep 26, we'll get rid of 25. But at 21, push this. What does that mean? Well, grab it and crank it to 11. Like basically get something that's really broad. So you go super squash, stretch, and then bring, see how you go higher, and then actually the brows and the eyes kind of tend to find their neutral position again. It's not neutral, but because the character's still kind of, expressing surprise a little bit, but you're going beyond. That's where you have full, and I mean, I could even push this further and bring the mouth down. Now, if the teeth are going through, no big deal. Just touch that up. Bringing something back in. So you can really push that, and then the face hits this other pose. Now, of course, I don't want these things, but for the face, if you're going to come back and hit that pose at 26, you'll probably want to hold this, because this is kind of, it's convoluted through here. It's not really doing anything for us. So we'll actually just hold that position from 26 to 31. Now, if you're holding a facial expression for a longer period of time, sometimes adding a blink there is not a bad idea. Kind of keeps the character alive. Another thing that you can do instead of doing a blink, you don't have to do a blink. One other thing you can do, though, is have the character do an eye dart. So if they're holding a position for a moment and they're really looking at something, to hit this position, go over a single frame. This is a little crazy, but check this out. Like, you go here, over a single frame. Just have it so the character darts that far, from there to there. That's it. And then hold it for at least 8 frames, something like that. You probably want, quite a while. And actually, I'll move that out for a moment. So we'll hit that position, then the dart, and then the character starts to come back. And be careful with the eyes, because they're kind of floating from here to there. This is looking at something different from here versus there. So on this, you might want to keep the eyes, relatively speaking, looking in the similar direction. And then if, the eye is looking up here, I don't think we need to have that. So I would maybe keep it really intense. The character is kind of an intense emotion here. So I want you to, as I'm going through this, I want you to be thinking about your own scene and going, okay, I could see how, I have a pause in my scene. I need to have maybe a little eye dart there would be good to kind of keep my character alive. And then, adding that scrunch of the face before you get the expression change. Even though this isn't much of an expression change, right? From 17 to like 28, it's just, a different surprised expression. But having the squash as you go into that makes that punchier. It has more emphasis. Now, I want to show you some other things that you can do if your character is going to make a broad motion like this. Don't simply rotate in like one axis forward like this. There's ways that you can make this more dynamic. So if you find in your own scene that you have a character that's you have an isolated kind of rotation, find ways to add asymmetry. So what does that mean? Well, instead of leaning forward, have a bit of a tilt. See, rotating the body this way. Now it has like some kind of a lean into it, as opposed to perfectly symmetrical. This is like, right down the middle. Lean exactly forward. Favor one side more than the other. Remember, this is animation, so you can design the movement, make it better than reality. That's your job. So take this, of course this next key is still kind of straightforward, so we'll tilt that, and then take this one, maybe tilt that as well. And if that's still coming in, rotate that out. Now, here's the thing. If you're looking at this going, I can't get this to rotate right, guess what? That's what the graph's for. Remember how we used to go into that quite a bit? Well, we're going to go into it again. So pull this up. Remember, you have two controls on both back controls selected, so grab both the rotate Ys. And what we have here is a representation of that rotation that I added. So we went from flatline to twisting this, and actually what we had before, I'll undo it so you can see. This is what we had before, flatline, nothing, there's no rotate Y. So what we want is the character to twist a little bit as they come down. Now, I could say, hey, I want it to twist all the way to this position. So, put a little twist in there. This guy, do we need it? Not really. We can just have it so it rotates down. The character's going to rotate and rotate Y. And if there's like any kind of wobble this way, that looks like it's rotate Z that's causing that. So pull that up and go, what's going on, rotate Z? Now, how did I know that? Scrub through and go, you see that right there? I don't want that to happen. Whatever that is, this like little wobble sideways. That little pop, that's because of this guy right here. This is a troublesome key. So it's going in a direction, then it goes way back and then way back the other way. This is going to give you a wobble. You can almost tell just by looking at the curves that it's like, it's nothing, nothing, nothing. It rotates, then it like goes back, and then it goes forward and back again. It's like, this is going to give you a weird wobble. It's literally like a W if you look at this. So taking this away, just that one key, going, I don't need it, watch what happens. Now it's gone. That problem's gone. I'll undo it and redo it so you can see. See that has that little wobble? I don't like that. So delete it, and now it goes into that. And then as you come back, see how it goes? The character goes straight forward again. Try to find a way to get a better pose here. So maybe give your character a little bit of a lean one way more than the other. Like you can go this way, you can go the other way. Maybe you want it to end up this way. Find a new pose with your back. Now if you hit that, you'll notice that there's no other rotation. If I probably pull up all the other ones, there's a little bit of rotation on these other curves. But once I added that twist there, the rest of these kind of just chill. They're not really doing anything. See how straightforward the character looks right now compared to this? This is much more dynamic as a pose versus something that's just kind of straightforward. So we're just pushing the poses, that's all. Now, how do you kind of copy this forward? If I want this new pose over what I had before, which is this, but I don't want to have to like redo all my animation, you can copy this stuff forward. Here's how you do it. Grab the back controls, like we have, middle mouse onto your keys. See how these are the same? These are flat lines, flat line, flat line, flat line, right through there. But I like this one, this pose. So you can middle mouse, go to what you want, which is this pose, middle mouse here, hit the S key. And you'll notice that these black dots are going to shift to this new pose. So this guy right here, boom, hit the S key. It's going to change that. And then this pose right here, I don't want this. This is where it goes. It's snapping back to that kind of straight up and down. I don't like that, so we'll get rid of it. So now, character's going to kind of straighten up. Now, you can, actually, we'll place this back where the other one was, which is right there. Now, if you want to ease into a new pose, as you kind of like hit this, let's say, maybe you don't want this guy, because this really isn't doing anything for us. And then this one, maybe you want to have a little bit of a drift in the torso. So now, see how the character leans back, hits this pose, and then, of course, there's a little bit of a pop, and that's actually because of our friend here. This is over one frame. That's where that pop's coming from. Get this guy and go away. So now, those hit at 48. So now, basically this, and this. These three controls now hit at 48. They occur on the same frame, and then See how we straighten up and then go into this? We want to get rid of these straightenings up. So take 48, middle mouse onto 53, hit the S key. 55, hit the S key. Now you'll hold this position and then go into your other pose. So this is how you kind of copy some stuff forward, but also add some interest. So even, for breaking down some of this motion as the character does that expression change, some fun stuff you can do is add some drag to the head. Just take the head control, and as you're leaning forward, hold the head up. Keep the nose, track the nose, and go, okay, if the character was moving forward, if I take this out, the head was down there. And the character was just kind of leaning forward like that. But now I can say, hey, what if I tilt the head back slightly as the character comes forward? And then even here, tilting the head up slightly is going to add some overlap. So now you hit, play on just something like this. See how that has much more life to it? Versus, see how this, from there to there, it's not that the end positions are bad. There's actually a lot of good stuff in there. But again, this, and let me take out all the curves and all the convoluted mess here that I've created. I hope I didn't delete the other. Okay, good. I have a tendency to just close out windows. So this is what we had before. And then just with a few changes, so that's what I wanted to show you in this video. It is a useful tool because, of course, sometimes you get caught up in just getting the key poses, but then it's like, well, I don't really know how am I supposed to, when you say punch it up, try to add some texture to it. What do you mean by that? So hopefully this kind of demystifies some of that, gives you some ideas of, breaking things down, slowing your thinking down a little bit and going, how can I add some contrast to make this compress and then expand, as opposed to just flowing from one key to another, which is what Maya loves to do for us. It'll take you straight there. And it's not bad as a starting point, but what you want is that compression and the drag that you can add like that. So those are the things I wanted to leave you with in this video. I hope it's helpful, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.